right, good morning. I've got some sound playing in the background. There we go. It stopped. And welcome everybody. Sorry, I have a loop going on here with my sound. I had to turn off on my computer. Thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday's Hump Day. Welcome to Fireside Finance. We start off 8 o'clock in the morning. If you're watching on the replay, it'd be great to have you join live. We start live stream Monday to Friday from about 8 o'clock. We always go on time, and 8 a.m. Pacific time to about 8:45. Start my day. Might be your afternoon, depending where you're where you are in Canada, but it's a good start to the morning. So, and what a morning it is! And this will be the first live stream. I got sitting down in front of my computer, ready to go. Hit that start button. Hit the live button. I forgot to make coffee. So no coffee today. It might be maybe we'll have to cut this one. We won't cut it short, but it's going to be a little bit different. No coffee in my mug. So hopefully you have your coffee ready. I'll have mine later. It's sitting in my French press right now. But I didn't want to leave anybody hanging for the stream. So there we go. We'll see who's here. I think we have some of the regulars coming in. Big day today. Later on this afternoon, not much happening. The big news is coming later. That's for people I think are waiting for. But let's see who's here first, basically to start the day. If you've joined on and you're watching live, make sure you say hi. Good group of people here. We'll talk about got some articles to share, and we'll talk about the market. We talk about TFSAs. We talk about investing, all sorts of good things. We usually get sidetracked on some other conversation, but that's okay too. If you have a question, throw it in the chat. And I always like to say it once. Don't forget to hit that like button. And Candace, good morning. Welcome. You got a smile on your face. So I think that's hopefully a good sign on the day is going. It seems to be doing okay today, off to the start. And obviously in anticipation of the Fed meeting, which is going to be announcement after the market's close. So we kind of have to wait for that today. But yeah, it gives us something to look forward to, I guess. Brian, welcome. Morning all. And Candace and Brian, I think, know each other. There we go. Hi and hi. Hey and hi. There we go. Awesome. And Stan's here. Welcome, Stan. Welcome. That's always good to have you here. All the regulars are here tuning in on Wednesday Hump Day. It is a big day. That's right, Candace. So big hike day today. If it is only 50 basis points, everybody give your thoughts on this. I think that's what we're leaning towards. Everything is kind of, and I have a couple of articles pulled up in regards to this as well. We can look at, but everything is kind of pointing. It's crazy how we're thinking 50 basis points is a slowdown, right? Where normally that would be quite a substantial hike, because typically they only kind of use history, in the nearer term, there was 25 basis point jumps. 50 basis points was like unheard of a year ago or 2 years ago when we were thinking of rates going up. So it's interesting how it shifted, as 50 basis points is a good sign. much like in Canada here, we had the 50 basis points back on December 7th, it was last week, when that came up, and it was kind of like I guess a little bit of a signal. And again, it will be the same with the States. 50 basis points, I think we're going to get, and that's a good. There we go. So Candace did do a poll. I didn't do a poll this time on my channel, but so Candace's channel, Mountain Finance. If you aren't subscribed, head over there. Awesome channel. And she did a poll, and 50 basis points is 81% of the vote. So there you go. I think if we're right, we're right. But that's what it seems to be. Everybody, all the other economists are forecasting as well, is 50 basis points. So I think that's kind of a shoe in. Maybe we'll be surprised and see 75. I don't know. Nothing would surprise me anymore, I guess. But I don't think we're going that direction. I think much to Candace, much to your last. Much to your last comment about a Santa Claus rally, I think, yeah, if we have that 50 basis points, I looked a little bit at the market today. S&P is up today. It was up yesterday as well. So this may kind of solidify our Santa rally. We'll see. It's always, it would be nice to have a bit of a Santa rally to kind of bring our portfolios up before the new year. Would be nice. It's always nice to have a bit of green instead of seeing red all the time. On that note, like I'm saying, looking at the S&P and that, obviously in my VFE ETF, but I also do own. It's like the only thing on the S&P that's not going up is Tesla. Tesla has had a really rough month. Let's put it that way. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. People, Elon always being Elon. People kind of come in and out of favor of him. So we'll see what happens with that one. I don't own a ton of Tesla CDRs, so not too worried. But it's just I find it interesting. So it is kind of what it is for. It's kind of the typical Elon Musk. People hate on him sometimes for what he's maybe trying to do. Morning, Dan. Welcome. Always good to have you here. All the regulars or a lot of the regulars are here. That's great. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely really appreciate it, taking some time out of your day to have the stream going, even if it's in the background listening in. But a few articles, we'll pull it up. This is obviously we were just talking about big Fed rate hike, so no surprise. A couple of articles or article on that. So we'll just pull that up, and we can kind of just kind of mention that. So let's share that. There we go. Fed preview. Central bank set to slow rate hikes at final meeting of 2022. So that is right. It's the last one of before the new year. So we have a bit of reprieve. Also in Canada, we don't have another rate Bank of Canada meeting until I think it's January 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. Someone will probably correct me in the comments. I think it's the 23rd or 26th. Can't remember. Sometime in the end of January, towards the end of January. But basically, yeah, this is all kind of pointing, expecting to raise rates by 0.5 percentage point. So we're kind of probably won't be surprised. What is it? It's the highest level since December 2007. So these rates this year went up really, really fast. I remember reading, a friend of mine had passed on a tweet, and I think it was either Scotiabank. I think it was Scotiabank, might have been CIBC that was predicting like a big jump in rates like this. And it was like everybody thought when they first kind of mentioned it at the beginning of this year, back in January, February, I think it went. And they were mentioning like rates doing what they've basically been doing, and everybody thought they were crazy. So go figure. So most in the States, obviously highest level. I'd have to double check what it is in Canada. It's probably, I'm going to say very similar, probably 2007 into 2008 number being this high. So the announcement today, this is what people know if they want to go online and look for some news. The announcement is at 2 p.m. Eastern. So that would make it 11. So yeah, 2 p.m. Anyways, there you go. So you can figure that out with your time zone. So that is actually, no, sorry, that would be before the markets close. Sorry, I'm corrected here. Would it not be? Because the decision's at 2 and the markets don't close until 4, right? Yeah. Anyway, so there we go. So we'll know at 2 p.m. I should have gone live later on, but that's okay. I do have to work today. And then they'll have that speech after, which always is kind of obviously more telling than sometimes what the rates do with the language. So that's always interesting to watch. We'll know a bit more later on. Always something to look forward to. And thanks for pointing that out, Candace. So we do the States, not the next Fed meeting is the first week of February. So that's a bit longer than in Canada. Let me just take a look at Canada, their schedule. And it's funny, I was looking at this yesterday, and so the one in 2023 for Bank of Canada, the first one, January 25th. I was in the middle there. I said between 23rd or the 26th, so it's actually January 25th. So we have a bit of time after Christmas until possible rate increases or what the heck's going to happen. But then obviously that brings us to our next article in regards to bills and spending and everything else. But it's I always try to find good news, but it's like I say it's every time. It's like the news doesn't like to share decent good news. But hey, that's nothing. No, there is one good news I did find. So this kind of much has to do with rates as well. Financial stress reaches all-time highest level since 2008, which is no surprise. This was a study done with workers, 42 4,232 workers found that 61% of North American employees were more stressed about their finances today than they were a year ago. Obviously, we're still in the midst of the pandemic, and that's the highest level of financial stress since 2008. This was households across the U.S., Canada. Obviously, inflation's a problem, rising interest rates, and more people tapping into their emergency savings and cutting back on discretionary spending. So just interesting. We're seeing that kind of happen, and then obviously kind of no surprise there, right? It's definitely been a stressful time, right? I think a lot of people, everything's more expensive. We've been talking about it for months now, so it always kind of eventually catches up with a lot of people. So hopefully you're still able to put some money aside and not have to tap in. But I mean, that's if you have emergency fund, that's kind of what it's for, right? If you need it. But you have to definitely look at, I think, if you're tapping into something like that, is also look at ways of cutting back on certain discretionary items, not just carrying on like status quo, and using that to buffer, because it's kind of more for, like you said, emergencies. You have to definitely make a change, be more frugal, as I've kind of started to do as well. I think a lot of people watching this channel have the same mindset. I think we're all, a lot of it is in the same mindset. I was talking to my friend yesterday on the phone about a lot of things, and I said, maybe I'm too cheap. He's like, no, you're just frugal, so it's okay. There's nothing wrong with being, I don't think, a little bit frugal these days, for sure. And on that note as well, which I've noticed, I pulled up this article, and this is kind of interesting too, because we've had in the last. Let me jump into Candace's comment before I go into the next news article. But normally get out of trades before these meetings, but I have a good feeling about this one, and maybe try to ride the bump up. There we go. So that's your insight. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll see what happens. It could go. I guess if it's at 1, we have an hour, right? Kind of might get a great bump at the end of the day. So we'll see. Maybe the Santa rally will make it. We'll make it after all. That'd be nice. To go forward. So Candace is holding on. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a trader in my TF. Obviously, it's TFSA. So, but if you're talking, I think maybe Candace, maybe in your more of your day trades, to hang on maybe longer than you normally would. Maybe it'll pay off. Hopefully. It's always nice to hear when people make money instead of go down. So hopefully everything works out for everybody. And let's pull up this one. And we were talking a little bit about buy now, pay later, consumer loans last week, I think it was. So there's another article I pulled up today talking about the problems of using buy now, pay later to fund travel, and I found it really interesting because obviously the last couple of years, obviously in the last couple of years in travel, obviously nothing happened for obvious reasons. So it's really starting to bounce. Travel's starting to bounce back. I have friends that work in travel, and they're busy. Everybody wants to get away because they can finally get away. The winters are always cold in Canada. Depending where you are, they're worse than others. So people do like to get away for their holidays. Some are warm usually, for the most part. But this brings up that this I found really interesting. So buy now, pay later. There's lots of companies that are starting to offer this. It's through other third party finance companies. Some of the ones, I don't know if these are all in the States, but there's ones that are called Affirm, Afterpay, and Klarna. There must be some other ones. So what it lets you do is actually it uses it to buy whatever you're trying to buy. So instead of using a credit card, you would use this buy now, pay later kind of thing. And then it works it into installments, monthly payments or certain installments. I've never used it, so I have no idea how it actually comes through, but obviously will come off your payday. But what I found super interesting in 2019, just 10 million. Now I think this is in, let me see if I can find out where this is. If this is in Canada, I don't know. It doesn't differentiate. So let's just assume it's so let's say assume it's the States, but 10 million was spent on travel related buy now pay later services in 2019. In 2020, it grew to 60 million, and let's not forget, a lot of travel related was not happening really in 2020, but then it grew up to 800 million by 2021. So a 1,233% increase in 1 year, and then a 7,900% increase in 2 years. So people are using this. So something to be I think aware of for people is you shouldn't be spending money on things you necessarily can't afford. That's that's not rocket science, but it does make a case for, obviously if you're going to be do it, sometimes there's no necessarily interest charge, but there's charges obviously if you're going past the past the term of your loan, where they'll charge you, like, so there's late fees that are typically around $8, and according to this, 10.5% of buy now pay later borrowers were charged at least one late fee in 2021. So that's how they're making their money. A lot of them are made on debit cards, which obviously if you don't have the money to pay for something in the first place, if all of a sudden your payments start to come out and you get into overdraft or an NSF charge, you're getting charged the late fee from buy now pay later. Then you're also getting dinged with the NSF charge for your bank, which are crazy expensive now. I think they're around, can be like about $40 for an NSF charge at a bank, depending where you are and what, so very expensive. So just, I guess with that, be careful with what you're buying. Don't overspend. Make sure it fits in your budget. And if you can ideally not have to borrow it, that's probably your best way. Because what it's saying here is there was another survey done by Motley Fool in 2022. And people were making purchases with this because it wouldn't fit in their budget, 45%. So you probably shouldn't be buying it. It lets you borrow money without a credit check. Okay, fair enough, 21%. People don't have a credit card. Okay, some people don't have credit cards for various reasons, but the worst one here is if your credit card's maxed out, 13%. Like if your credit card's maxed out, you probably shouldn't be booking a trip. That's just my theory. So that's something to maybe keep an eye on, I think, as people go more into debt. It's unfortunate. So back to Candace. It's normally about a 10-minute bump way up, then it falls slightly where it was. Oh, so we'll get the bump. And then it just kind of the enthusiasm wanes towards the end. So you have to keep an eye on things if people are trading. You need to do Candace. You need to do a live stream of just you sitting from behind, filming your computer screens from behind, and just to see what you do, because I have no idea what goes on behind that and what you're looking for would be interesting. Maybe for your channel members or something like that, they might see some interest in that, just to kind of like peek behind and see what your screen is showing and what decisions you're making. I don't know, just a thought. And MC is here. Good morning. Always good to have you. Missed you yesterday, MC, but welcome. And thanks for joining today. It's always good to have you here for your insights. We were just talking about earlier, obviously, as you know, Fed rate today, 1 o'clock Eastern, and we were just sharing our predictions for that. So if you have any thoughts, feel free to fire them into the comment. Buy now, pay later, big issue. Yes, so buy now, pay later could possibly become a big issue if people are not making payments. Another easy way for people to access credit. And what if you pay for so many things on buy now, pay later, but can't keep track and forget? This is exactly it. So it's that's the thing, right? It's easy sometimes to get credit, but then all of a sudden, if you're putting something that you can't afford, but this is on the flip side though, MC, the article did kind of mention, I did turn it off, and some people do it just for a cash flow purpose. Like they might have the funds to be able to do it in their budget. But if you're looking at it, like if they have the money in their savings, but they can get interest free as long as they pay it off by a certain time. Sometimes that money is better sitting in now, especially with interest rates up a little bit. Keep it into your savings account. Just pay it when you have to pay it, but obviously be diligent and pay it for, you know, when it's due, so you're not dinged with these late fees. So there is some benefit, I guess, to it if you use correctly. But I think that's the minority of people that are using these things. It's most people, you know, more people like saying all of a sudden, like, hey, my credit card's not working, I'm just going to buy now, pay later. I'll just kick the can down the road and worry about it when I have to pay, which isn't a good thing. So there you go. That's an idea. That'd be nice to, yeah, maybe we'll see that in the future. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, car payment. I mean, I have a car payment, and it's the thing. You know, you have that come out, and you're used to that. But then, yeah, because I know is it Go Easy that does like loans and stuff on other things. But then again, if you're doing like buy now, if you're doing online shopping and it's buy now, pay later, there's a lot of retailers that offer it, right? Like you said, toaster ovens, watches, like anything. All of a sudden, you want to buy a new, you know, a new pair of shoes or a new TV, and you spend the money on it, and or you get the buy now pay later on it, and you kind of forget about it. And if you are late with your payment, it can be heavy interest. I don't know if they necessarily do it so much anymore, MC, but I remember in the past it used to be very popular, much along the same lines as buy now pay later. But like some of the department stores and stuff used to do like 1 year no payments, that kind of stuff. So you could buy a computer, and you'd apply obviously for the credit, and you wouldn't pay any interest on your computer for 1 year, but you had to obviously pay it off within that 1 year term. And then if it went past that, that's where you'd get dinged. Some of them, I think even you'd have to pay back interest if you didn't pay it all off. So it can be just keep track of what you're borrowing is my suggestion. So good morning, Jason. Welcome. It's great to have you here. You got your coffee mug, and I said earlier, if you're just joining in, I don't have my coffee. I forgot it today. It's sitting in the French press, so I'll get it later. But welcome, and Nadia's here. Welcome. Thanks for joining in, Nadia. Great to have you here. Yeah, they used to have. I think they may still have that MC where you could literally, you know, get a lamp or whatever on credit, which is probably kind of silly. I think if you need a lamp, maybe try and go to if you really need one. I would say just try and go to a garage sale and pick one up. You know, barter for one. There's a good chance that someone's probably even like, I don't have Facebook, but you know, you go to these marketplace places and find something. You know, this is maybe the frugal me talking, but like, does it really need to be fancy if you really just need a lamp? You know, that being said, yeah, it's like lease to own, right? They had kind of stuff too. I'm not sure if they're still popular. But it did have like the furnitures, right? And you'd see the price tags. The price tags would be in the window, and you'd see something hanging, and it would show like there'd be a sofa, and it would only say like $55 or $100, whatever it was, right? $100, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. How come this is $100? But then you're like, oh, that's the monthly payment or whatever, you know. So, but it's definitely alternative sources of stuff. It doesn't just be careful, I guess, with people. If they're thinking of these kind of read into it, make sure you really research it to make sure you can pay it. And Candace, yesterday was going to Telus video. It's about to parse together the history. Then I thought I asked ChatGPT to write paragraphs of history. So yeah, for people that don't know, ChatGPT is like an AI that's out. You can go online. If you Google ChatGPT, it'll pop up, and you can actually. Fun fact, I've actually put those in. Candace, if you go back and watch a couple of my videos, there's a couple of bits and pieces of AI in there as well. It can be very handy. Yeah, very handy. Just a note on YouTube and stuff like that is Chat GPT can also, Candace, is check out using it for writing your video descriptions or getting you a start. That's the kind of thing. It's not necessarily always in your voice, right, or how you would normally come across, but it gives you a good starting point. And if you get it to type out your YouTube video description, it will give you a nice start off for some of your video descriptions as well. So just an idea there. Very interesting though, in terms of getting some ideas, which is great. It's much like the AI canvas that is kind of almost in. I use vidIQ for the back end to look at stuff, and it gives you title suggestions and descriptions and stuff like that. ChatGPT will do the same thing, and so far free. So, and I have some more issues investing in loans like that because they think it's taking advantage of. Yeah, I kind of agree. No issue personally, since I feel they serve a demographic that cannot be served by financial institutions. It's true, right? Just because it does serve a niche, much like certain banks serve different niches of clients, or there's different more. We've talked about it on the mortgage stuff, like when we had Rob on here talking about mortgages and lenders and stuff like that as well. There's different mortgage lenders that cater to different types of demographics, and that's out there. So not everybody. I guess not. It's the same MC. I guess if you have moral issues investing in loans like that, or maybe it's investing with companies that offer those loans. If it's not something you want to invest in, that's fine. It's like some people don't invest in whatever because they have a moral. They like to they don't like to invest in oil because it's bad for the environment, different things. But it's okay, whatever I think. I would never hold it against anybody for any kind of investment decision that they decide to do. It's their own personal choice with how they do it. And yeah, it is. I agree, Brian. Yeah, it is. If you read into the fine print on that, it's pretty bad. Unfortunately, it's much like. It's much like payday loans and stuff like that, right? It can be very predatory for people, and then you go down. It might you go down that rabbit hole of borrowing like that, and it's hard to get out of, right? So you have to just really look at a budget. I think the biggest thing is if you're looking at something and you don't want to decide if you want to buy now, pay later, is kind of look at your budget and go, should I really be buying this now if I can't pay it now? And then go from there. And they are, it's true. Short loans. Yeah. They serve a purpose, right? But yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for people, but sometimes, if obviously, payday loans or something like that. Obviously sometimes there's an emergency, right? You might need to do it. I haven't really looked into, you always see you'd always read the articles every once in a while would come up because it would be, I think they did a lot of reform, like a lot of regulation on it not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of what interest they can charge and disclosures and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really too privy on it, but I remember seeing like on the news, they break it down on on Marketplace or whatever it was, and it was not good, not good. So, and Candace, I saw that a little bit in kind of the news. I haven't dug deep into it, but like anything with obviously new with infrastructure, right? Like you're kind of saying your next comment here will be like 20 years and longer, like a long term. We'll have to see what happens. We'll definitely have to see what happens. And Justin, I saw your comment there too. Yeah, thanks for joining. Thanks for coming on, Justin. It's always good. So buy now, pay later. But I did have one article, which is kind of good news. So let's share that. Let's get off the bad news and talk about a little bit of plan. Like obviously this comes into budgeting and planning, and this is kind of decent news. Just a reminder to everybody, obviously we're coming into the end of the year. I'm not an accountant by any means, but just make sure you look at your. We talked about it a little bit, but just make sure you look at your investments, obviously, because it's the end of the year. So coming up to, unfortunately, I said it was good news, didn't I? But it is unfortunately going to be tax time soon. So make sure you are taking a look at things before the end of the year. If you're doing any, one of the big things, if you have basically an unregistered account. Like a lot of us here have TFSAs, but I know other people do have registered accounts. Is check with your accountant, check with your financial person to make sure you maybe can take advantage of any kind of tax loss selling the best way possible. Basically, I think most people probably kind of know what that is, but basically you're selling something at a loss to offset your capital gains, reduce your taxes owed. But you can also, with that, you can also carry back your losses as well, or carry them forward. So obviously, perfect time to, if you are thinking this is for you, is to talk to your accountant and financial person about that, just so you are aware of those things that you can do. Another thing to keep in mind is with your TFSA, the new, like the reset happens January 1st. So if for some reason you're thinking of if you're going to be making any kind of withdrawal from your not RSP, a withdrawal from your TFSA, maybe do that before the end of the year, just because then that way that space will open up for the following year to put more back in. That only applies obviously if you're maxed out on your TFSA. I'm nowhere near, unfortunately, but something to keep in mind. It'll open up that contribution room if you are thinking of withdrawing. So this is something to be aware. And then obviously again, coming into the end of the year, coming up, not until March, but you'll have the time for our RSP contributions, that kind of thing. So not a bad time of year to maybe, obviously it's coming up to Christmas, but I think this time of year is a good time to kind of look over your big picture and your plans. Like I shared on my channel last week, kind of like some resolutions for savings, that kind of stuff. But it's a perfectly good time, I think, to kind of go take some time, because especially if you have some time off work, people never think it's fun. I kind of enjoy it, but it's a good time to look over anything, and definitely consult with a professional if you have questions on different things. But it's a good time to do it before the new year, because there might be some opportunities and some advantages of making changes prior to the next calendar year. That's just my 2 cents on that. And if you're looking for info, there, go for Candace. Candace did a video last year on tax loss harvesting. She's going to maybe make another one. But there you go. You probably check out the last one. It's probably still relevant in general. So she would have that on her channel. Go check that out if you have some interest on that. And this is a great question, MC. I had this exact same question. We were talking about this yesterday. I mean, we were hoping I think I mentioned you. I said maybe MC will have some insight on this. And if so, they spin out. This is what's interesting. So yeah, it did spin off between Brookfield Asset Management. They changed it to BN, which is Brookfield Limited now. I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. BN, what it stands for. Very confusing. Brookfield Corporation. And this is the big question that BN is Brookfield Asset Management Inc. And then so BN.TO. The issue, not the issue, the question. One is it's confusing as heck. One is corp, one is incorporated. One is corp and one is, hold on. BN is Brookfield Management Incorporated, and then the other one is Brookfield BA. The old one is, I don't know. It's confusing. One of them is corp, one of them is limited, I think, or something like that. But anyways, I don't know. That's my big thing. I haven't, and this is kind of MC. I do have to find out more because it did split off, and my shares switched over to BN. I think I'm supposed to get, I only had just over one. So I think there's some reconciliation there in terms of the amount that's supposed to be coming back in cash. I think that comes back, but that probably will takes a week or so. And we'll see. And this is only important to me, MC, because I've started to do the StreamYard challenge. I'll be buying shares once a month. For the cost of that StreamYard, up to $25, convert $25 US, I used to put it into Brookfield Asset Management. Now it's BN. But do I pick the other one? I don't know. I'll have to put something on the channel as a poll or something like that. What one to continue. From what my understanding is, one's going to be paying more dividends out than the other. But again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not putting a ton of. It's obviously, well, it's not unsubstantial. It's going to be about $33 a month or so for a year. I probably will just keep it in BN just because I've started it like that. And that's just for my. But I don't really have an insight in terms of what's better or what's not. I guess time will tell a little bit. I think there's still a lot of confusion out there with what's better or not. So if you have insight, or if anybody has insights that are watching between BN or the old Brookfield, the new one, let me know. I'd be happy to try and figure that out. I heard about this. So Wealthsimple rolling out options, and Candace has an early access. So you'll have to maybe. It's funny. I haven't received a invite on that one. I don't know, I guess, how they roll out certain things, Candace. Probably depends on certain accounts and stuff like that. I haven't received it. I did see on Twitter, though, about a month ago or so, someone had actually posted that they got that invite. So I think they've been rolling it out slowly for access, which is interesting. I don't know if it's something that I'll take advantage of or not. It might be fun just to research and try, but we'll see on that. So you'll have to let us know. Do a sneak peek. If you're going to do something like that in your channel. It's always kind of good, maybe channel content. I would be interested in watching that because I don't have access yet. They'll probably at something like they'll probably be rolling it out, rolling it out to people. And that being said, I haven't logged into my Wealthsimple for today this morning, but sometimes it pops up on the app. But it's I've got nothing. We'll see what happens. It's kind of interesting. They're starting to get more products, as you can see, kind of rolling in. And so I expect BM will provide more of a diversification sits at the umbrella, whereas BAM is just asset management arm, so more concentrated play. Yes, it just be interesting how it all pans out price wise and what the heck's happening. I mean, I think I'll probably. I don't know. I'm leaning MC for me, because I have invested in it. I'm probably keep it in the old BN, the new old, which is the old one, just because I started. So probably do it for a year and just let's see what happens. On that way. Yeah. I mean, unless I'll probably just put it into BN and just not stress too much about it. But if someone has, I think more info will come out as it kind of starts rolling, right? And what people decide to get into. It's always confusing. Sometimes you read these news releases and it's like you read and you're like, that does not explain anything that I can understand. And then sometimes they'll put out a clarification because it was so confusing that they go, okay, now we're putting out a clarification so people actually know what we're actually talking about and doing. I think that was one of them done with that, because I've been looking at that Purpose Cash ETF, the Canadian one, for just to put some rainy day savings into my TFSA and just keep it in cash, but make a bit of interest. And I've been looking at that, and I think they're changing the name as well. They're closing down one fund ETF and they're amalgamating it and they're renaming it, but then they had to do more explanation of what the heck was actually happening, because they do these press releases and it just confuses people even more. They need to do for me, they need to do a diagram of what the heck is happening. But it can be the lingo and everything can be very confusing sometimes, I find. And I found with Brookfield was especially, I think, a bit confusing, partly because of the name change. I think, the old one, the new one becomes the old one, and the old one is the new. I think it's people's minds can't wrap their heads around it. At least mine didn't for the beginnings. And that's it. Yeah. It's always kind of interesting. And that is in terms of portfolio going forward, I haven't done any purchases. Waiting for payday. That's my excuse. But we'll keep adding, just slowly but surely again. And it's nice to have. We'll see what happens for the rest of the rest of the day. Today we seem to be kind of having a decent day out there, which is good ahead of the hike. So we'll see if this can. It's be nice if this actually kind of continues. I was happy to see today. I know we don't talk a ton about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but I was happy to see that Bitcoin went up over $18,000 US, which is nice. That's kind of another one of my long-term holds, and I do Shakepay for that. I just have a small dollar cost, I buy a small amount every day and then transfer it to my wallet. So that's kind of nice to see that kind of go up. And that was good to see. One thing to do with Shakepay, because if people that use Shakepay, they probably saw it, but if you they have a new thing now. If you use your tap, like if you load your card and use it for purchases, they have a new thing where you can pay it forward. So if you do a purchase, you can put in a certain you can put in an amount. It can be kind of any amount. It can match your purchase, or you can make it a couple bucks or whatever you want, basically. And it will use that to pay it forward to someone else. The next person somewhere in Canada that uses their tap, they might get their purchase paid forward by you, and it gives you a notification who you paid it forward to, and back and forth, so you can kind of see who paid it forward. So it's kind of fun. With people, I think, like to do this sometimes this time of year. You always see it sometimes on the news, or someone is at a drive-through, and you go through a drive-through, buy a coffee, and then they buy the person's coffee behind them, kind of thing. So much along the same line, Shakepay starting to do that. So it's kind of fun. I haven't done any purchase. I have to go to the store later, so I'll go buy something and maybe shoot $5 or something to shake it forward for people. But good question, MC. That's a really good question. Obviously, cost of everything more expensive. Curious. This would be good for people to answer in the comments. If anyone is getting a year-end bonus or raises this year, considering the economy, that's a very good. That's a good question. And if people are watching, let us know. Yes, no, maybe. Have you asked for a raise? Do you normally get a bonus? I typically don't get a bonus for work, so but I don't know. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see with what other people are expecting or thinking they're going to be getting for a bonus. A bonus would always be nice, that's for sure. It's always nice to get extra that you're not maybe expecting. Yeah, I've had bonuses from work unexpectedly after a good month with work or something like that. Little bits. It's always nice and appreciated, but it's not like any kind of structured kind of year-end thing at all for that. And then our office does they do rewards stuff throughout for the year. For employees that you get entered into different things, and they have a trip. They do a trip usually. I didn't qualify or get it last year. I've been on it before, but I didn't go last time. They kind of tied in with a conference and all that kind of stuff. So you can win your expenses paid to go to the kind of the company conference if you want to do it. They usually do it somewhere nice. The last one was in Hawaii that they did. So usually MC gets, but free money is always, free money is free. It doesn't have to be, this is the thing, it doesn't have to be anything like massive. It's just nice to get, it's nice to get anything, this time of year, especially when if it's a surprise, it's nice. It's kind of it's a nice gesture, right? But don't, back to spending. Don't. What was that movie, Christmas Vacation, where Clark was always expecting his Christmas bonus, so he paid for a pool before he had the bonus in his hand, and then the company cut out the bonus. So don't spend it before you get it, expecting you're going to maybe get a bonus, because it might be tougher this year for employers to do it, right?
Raises are small, yeah, covers inflation. But this year, yeah, that's the whole thing. I guess that will be said, right? Once especially with maybe a lot of the unions go back to start negotiations, right? That's going to be a fun time. So it's if you get a you're normally fighting for a 2 or 3% raise. So all of a sudden they're like, okay, we'll give you 2 or 3% this year, no problem. But then you realize that you're down 5% from the prior year, unfortunately. But yeah, so hopefully everybody gets a nice Christmas bonus. Christmas bonuses are nice. I have had them from time to time from places. For things. Yeah. I used to work long time ago in hotel business. And obviously, if you know, like the hotel business at the time of holidays, a lot of people go to hotels for functions and everything else. So you're always stuck working, right? So you're working Christmas, you're working New Year's. Those are always days that you have to work. And I worked for one company one year, and they would also have it because they would do Christmas parties as well for all the staff. But of course, they would always have the Christmas, because it's at a hotel. They would have Christmas parties for the staff at the hotel because it just made more sense cost wise. Like they'd have everybody there, have a party, but of course, staff always have to work, during the Christmas party. So for 1 year, the hotel I worked at I had to work New Year's, and I was working New Year's Eve. And they at New Year's, like when it was midnight, they gave everybody $100 cash, who ended up working on New Year's Eve. So that was kind of nice. We got paid as well, obviously, but we got $100 cash in our pocket, which was awesome. And then 1 year we worked. I worked the Christmas party. So they gave everybody that worked the Christmas party a dinner at a nice dinner at like a 5-star restaurant with it covered for free. So it worked out better, I think, to kind of work like that. So it was kind of like a little bonus for me. So it was good. There we go. This live stream went fast. Looking at the clock, it's almost 9 o'clock. So thanks everybody for joining. It's always good. It looks like we're having a decent day. Let's see if Candace calls it, and we carry on with this good bump after the Fed meeting as well. It seems to be ramping up towards that. We'll see how it goes later on today. But as always, we will be back tomorrow, and we can kind of digest everything that happened today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. Another day, but we are on Thursday, so we're coming close to hump day today, so we're close to Friday. So I will post that live stream later on today, so you can set the notification to join at 8 o'clock. And I do hope, Candace, I hope you're right. We'll see. I think so. I'm gonna go with. I'm always optimistic, so we'll go with that. It's nice to have a bit of green coming up, as always. So we'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for joining. Don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. I do appreciate everybody who's been visiting the channel, joining the live stream, watching the videos. Helps the channel out. Not monetized yet, but getting there slowly but surely. But I still really enjoy doing it. So we'll leave it at that. We'll leave you with a bit of fireplace to ease our way into my day, and then if everybody else, we'll catch you all in the next one tomorrow. Thanks everybody.